Hello and welcome to our tutorial. So we're going to start basically doing a series of tutorials now that are specific to our game and our game design. So this tutorial is going to be about menu design. So we're making a game that's sort of in some respects very similar to Robbery Bob, the top-down scroller or top-down sort of a game that we've looked at before. So we're going to try and make a menu for that, put a bit of sort of some interesting elements in place. So I'm going to first of all turn on my screencast keys so you can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to go into Blender Game, because for the Blender Game Engine I'm going to go to GLSL. So they're my first three mandatory moves. I'm going to delete this default cube. I'm going to look through the camera. Sorry, look from the top. Look through the camera in a minute. I'm going to add a plane. So that's our standard plane. I'm going to look through the camera now, and I'm going to scale it up just by eye, and that's about a factor of 20. So I'm going to go S20, enter. So I've made it bigger by a factor of 20, so it's quite big. I'm going to take my camera and turn on the lock camera to view. Look back through it again, and I'm going to kind of zoom out a bit and see what I can see. So I'm going to place my camera somewhere like that and turn this off. So I'm looking down at this ground plane. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut out a little road and extrude it out, and we're going to put in some houses, and we're going to have basically two houses in this example here. And when you click on a house, it'll bring us to a level, and when you click on another house, it'll bring us to a different level. So let's just have a little chat about levels. So levels are scenes, and at the moment we've got one, and we're going to call this main menu level select. Okay, so that's going to be our first level, and we'll come back and change that or make new ones in a bit. Okay, so we're going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to use the knife tool, so K for the knife tool, and I'm just going to start cutting here. So I'm going to cut out, this is fairly crude, so it's meant to be sort of like a cul-de-sac, so we'll put little kind of driveways in it. So maybe our first house will be somewhere beside that, and then we'll put another cul-de-sac or driveway here. And I'm not great on road design, so this is basically a road. So we're going to go inside, so the road's going to be approximately that width, and it's kind of cartoony, so I'm doing this by eye. This is not some sort of physically accurate rendition of a road. It's meant to be like as the game is, sort of a cartoony type game. So my road is definitely wider in places than in other places, but we won't worry about that too much. So when I've returned back to the beginning, I'm just going to hit the enter key. Now that enter key is going to cut out this design for me. So I'm going to go to face select, and the nice thing about this tool is I can select this entire face here, and I'm just going to go extrude and downwards. So that's going to be my road. Now I'm going to look through the camera and see what we can see. So that's not too bad. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to split or change this view a little bit. We will come back and use this outliner, but for now I'm going to make this the 3D view and look through the camera. And then over here I'm going to go back to top view. So I'm going to go vert select, wireframe, and deselect with A. And now I'm going to go B and select these, turn on proportional editing, which we've used before, and go G. And now I can kind of move this a little bit so it's more in shot. So move that there, and then this road is a bit skinny here, so we'll go G, and that'll be fine there. We might have to change our camera angle just a little bit. Anyway, you can see we've got some level of sort of control over this design. Cool. So Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a curb. So I'm going to go back to my, I turn off proportional editing, back to my knife tool, and again I'm just trying to kind of emulate or follow my previous outline. Now it will try and snap me to the faces like that, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep a little distance in between, and again this is so far from physically accurate that it's hilarious. So we'll go all the way around the outside, and we'll go as far as here, and when we're happy that we're there we'll hit the enter key and we'll have completed the cut. Again we're going to select just that face, and I'm going to raise that up as the curb, so E, just lift it up a little bit, and then I'm going to go back to my K tool and I'm going to make this curve on the inside. So if I don't match the geometry exactly, it'll still work, but much better if I do. And nearly there. And you don't have to do this. This is just my design. And when I say my design, I mean I'm stealing this design or paying homage to the design that's already there. So we're really just looking at sort of game mechanics and how that works. So there's that's what it looks like now. So we're gonna look at our camera view, and we are going to zoom out a bit so we can see more of our neighborhood. That's a lot better there. So now I'm going to take this plane, go to vert select, take these two here and go GY so they go to the horizon. Take this one and that one and go GX, and then I want to extend this one as well, but that'll take a little more finesse. So it's going to press B and select a boundary box across it all, look through and go GY, and off we go. So now this is what we see, and we're going to have like a house here and a house here, and we can select them and go to level 1 or level 2. Okay, so let's do some really basic. So I'm going to call this game stage 1. Okay, and I'll worry about what folder it's in later. Now, we're going to do some basic sort of work on this with color, and then we'll come back and we can do a much fancier job with unwrapping, etc. But just we're going to work on some materials here. So I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to use the existing material that comes when you open Blender, and I'm going to call this grass, and I'm going to make this green, not too green, about there, and I'll make it a tiny bit darker. So this is kind of a cartoon. So there's my cartoon green, and I'm going to take the specularity off it. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I want to make a new material because I want to make a curve and a road, but I'm not going to hit plus here because that will make me a new material, alright, but not on, I'll have replaced this material. So I want multiple materials on one object. So I'm going to hit here plus and add a new material layer. And now I'll hit new material. We'll call this one curb, and we'll make this kind of a yellowy kind of color, and we'll take off its specularity, and then we'll make a road color. So again, I've made a new layer by hitting plus up here, plus here, and we'll call it road. Okay, so let's make this kind of a very dark grey, and again take the specularity away. So now let's go in and apply these. So I'm going to select let's do the road first. So this is on face select, so I'm selecting this face here. This is for my road. So select the road, the material, and just hit assign. So there's my road, and then I want to select the curb. So I'll select that face and select curb and go assign. Now I want the inside of this as well, and that's a little trickier, so we're going to go to vert select. Now I'm going to go hold down the alt key and select that line, and then shift alt, and I don't want that outside. Ooh. Okay, so that one, and that one. Okay, so what it's doing is it's giving me complete loops, and that's because these are kind of joined by the faces down here. So I'm going to go to face select mode and delete these kind of end faces, and we'll get a little bit more success. So I'm going to go X and faces, and now go back to vert select, and I can select that line, and that line, and that line, and that line, and that line. So I want all that to have the curve color. So we select curve and go assign. Now, it doesn't make a huge difference. Now, we're not applying any subsurface modifiers or anything like that. This is crude and cartoony. So this is what it looks like. And we're going to select our basic lamp and turn it into a sun. And there we go. And we can, you know, make it change the time of day and make shadows and stuff in a little while. So there we go. So we'll just work with this now. So I'm going to make our house, our two houses, and we will worry about the aesthetics of it in a little bit. So again, that's what's going to roughly, that's how it looks now. So let's make our two houses, and again we're just going to do some kind of crude, cartoony type sort of objects. So let's go back to, we're on solid mode. Okay, so we'll look from the top, and we want to put one over here. So actually just going to move this lamp out of the way. We're going to add a cube and zoom in a bit on it. So we're going to go SX and maybe SY. So it's going to be our first house. I want to bring that to there. I'm going to go into edit mode, and we'll go make it a bit taller, and we're in vert select now, so I'm going to go E for extrude and then escape, and then scale it out a bit, and we'll go E Z, so bring this up, and we'll turn that into the roof. So how do we do that? Well, we're just going to select this guy, this vert here, shift select that guy, and go W merge at center, and same over here. So W merge at center. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff I can do here to make this look a bit better. Extrude that, hit escape, scale it in, extrude that in a little bit, and then delete a whole bunch of geometry. I'm going to leave that end because we're not going to see it. So let's delete that. So we'll go X, delete face. What other faces do we want to delete? We want to delete that one. Whoops. X. And that face, X faces. Okay. And we'll fill in, so we'll go to vertex select, and hang on, let's fill this in a little bit here. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, make that a face. 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, face, and then these ones. This, like I said, don't really need this level of detail. So I'm going to put a couple of windows and a door in. So I'm going to go so loop cuts. So Control or, put in a series of loop cuts, and then I'm going to go again Control or. That's for sort of halfway up the house, and then face select. So I'm going to select this one, E, escape, S, let's say 0.6, and we'll extrude it back by I. I'll do the same here, so E, escape, S.6, and extrude it back by I. We'll take both of these, and we'll go E, escape, and then scale. I'm going to go G and Z, and extrude it backwards, and that'll be the door. And you know, I can add hugest amounts of detail. If I wanted chimneys and but we'll come back and we can add gutters and all sorts of things if we want, if we think is warranted in our game design. But like I said, at the moment we're just doing something very basic. So let's let's make it look nice if we can. So this is my base object, so I'm going to go new and I'm going to call this house 1, and we'll click in here on our color wheel, and the grass is green, and across a complementary color from green is purple, so we'll make it a kind of a purpley color and make it a little bit darker, and we'll take away our specularity. Now we don't want it all purple because that's not going to look too good, so we'll go to edit mode and we'll try and keep with the color scheme that we have. So we'll select all of this and then these two bits here, and we will make a new layer, but instead of making a new material we'll just put in the road and we'll assign that. So the roof is now the same color as the road, and we will make the doors and windows also the same color as the road, and maybe we'll make actually the windows the same, and the door actually we'll give them a different color. We'll make them the curb. We'll assign that. Oops. So I'm going to make a new one, put in the road, and then assign that. Now if we don't like that purple, we can always come back and change it. And that's the road. Okay, so that's where we are with house number 1, and I'm going to duplicate this house. So I'm going to go Shift D and move it over here and rotate it a little bit, and so this will be house 1, house 2. Okay, so we turn on our ambient occlusion there and go into textured mode, and material. Okay, so this is our kind of basic setup here, and like I said, we can populate this with trees and all sorts of things and make them much prettier and UV unwrap them, etc. But I'm not going to worry about it too much for now. So what I also want to do is I want to do a couple more things here. So I'm going to add in here, I'm going to add an empty, and I'm going to lift it up a little bit, and I'm going to call this empty H1 text, and I'm going to duplicate this, which is Shift D. I'm going to bring it over here, and it's going to be H2 or H2 text. Okay. Cool. So now I'm going to add in some text. So I'm going to go Shift A, add text, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, and I'm going to go GZ and scale it up and rotate it so that it's kind of parallel with the house. I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to say level 1. So level 1. Now if I want to change the font, etc., that I'm using here, that's quite simple to do. I can just here, let's do it actually. So regular, so let's go click on here. This is a PC, so the fonts are in C Windows fonts. I can preview them here, which is a relatively new feature actually in Blender, the preview fonts. So let's pick this one here because it's a bit sort of scripty, or maybe that one. And we'll go open font. I don't even know what it's called. It's called Comic. Excellent. So there's comic, and you can see that this has already changed into comic. So that's level 1, and I'm going to scale it up just a little bit more, place it here, and I can see it here in my from my camera. And now I'm going to go I'm going to take this and go G and place it roughly. Actually, let's do this with a bit of accuracy. Shift S, cursor to selected, and then I'm going to select my empty, Shift S, selection to cursor. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to duplicate it and bring it over here and rotate it, and then I'm going to say level 2. So I've just edited the text. And again, I'm going to go Shift S, cursor to selected, and then that empty, Shift S, selection to cursor. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to go, this is not a mesh object, it's a curve. So if I go into edit mode, obviously I'm editing the text, it's not a mesh object. So I'm going to convert it to a mesh. So I'm going to go Object, Convert to Mesh. And now when I go into edit mode, it's a mesh. And I'm going to extrude it and make it sort of 3D. And I'm as a mesh object, so I'm going to call this L1. I'm going to give it material, and we'll give it the road material. That's level 1. I'm going to do the same over here. I'm going to go in, nope, I went into edit mode. I'm going to go Object, Convert to Mesh, into edit mode, select it all, extrude it, and then give it the road material, level 2. Now, why am I doing that? So what I'm going to do, let's just have a chat about game mechanics here. So when I put the mouse over this house, I want to be able to go to level 2. I want to put the mouse over this house and I left click, I want to go to level 1. When I place the mouse over here, this text is going to appear. And when I place the mouse over this house, this text is going to appear. So I'm just going to hit save here. So I'm going to take this, it's called L1, and I'm going to move it to layer 2. Oops, that didn't work. So move to layer 2. I'm going to select this, and we'll call this L2. And we're going to move that to layer 2. Okay, now before we can make this all work in terms of game logic, we do need 2 more levels. So I'm going to very quickly hit plus here, so create a new scene. I could make a full copy of this one, but I'm just going to go new and it's empty. I'm not going to put anything in these scenes, that's for another tutorial. So I'm going to call this level 1, and then I'm going to create a new scene and call this level 2. Now, just so we know level 1 from level 2, on level 2 I'm going to add randomly a sphere, okay, and I'm also going to add randomly a lamp, so I can see the sphere. So there's my sphere, and then we'll go to level 1, and what we'll put a cube on level 1. Random stuff. It's just so that we can differentiate between them, so we know if it's working. Okay, and now let's go back to our game level. Okay, so I'm going to look through the camera here. I'm going to make this a bit smaller, and so I can make this a wee bit bigger. And we're going to go into the logic editor and start tooling up here with some game logic. So, first thing is I'm going to create a new empty at 0, 0, 0. So I'm going to add an empty. I'm going to make sure it's right at the origin. So I'm going to go 0. Oh, I'm pressing O, not 0. Okay, so that's it at its origin, and I'm going to call this game controller. And I am on this game controller. I'm going to go always mouse visible. So that means when I hit P for the game engine, my mouse is visible. I'm going to escape if I were to break this here. And go P. My mouse is now invisible. So, if we're using a menu and we're going to have a mouse-driven menu, then we want to be able to see the mouse. So that's the first thing. So I've made a game controller so that I know where that logic is. Now if I have audio I want to play in this menu, or if I have other sort of non-object specific logic, I'll put them on this as well. So now I'm going to select this house here, which is called cube.001. Not very good. So house L1. House for level 1. Now I'm going to say when the mouse is over this object and when I left click. So when the mouse is over and when I left click, take me to, so I'm going to go to scene and I'm going to go set scene, so take me to level 1. I'm going to link this, and if I want both of these conditions to be true and to change scene, I need to link this in here. So I've basically got dual input, so both of these need to be true. So the mouse needs to be over the house and I need to left click the button. So let's see if that works. So let's go P, I can see the mouse, and if I left click on this, now I have moved to level 1. Now I can't see my, I don't know if it was a cube or a sphere, because there's no camera. So in order, which is a good lesson, you can't yeah, there's nothing visible without a camera. So let's add a camera to this level and go GZ, and this is level 1 if I look through. So this is what we'll see when we change level. So go back to our main menu. So let's try that again. So we'll go P, put the mouse over here and left click, and we can see level 1. Happy days. Hit escape and we're back. The only problem with that is if I hit P here, I have no indication that I have that this is active. Now there's a whole bunch of ways I can remedy that. I could put a little animation in the house, so while the mouse is over it, it gives a little shake. I could change the color of the house while the mouse is over it. Maybe we'll explore them in a later tutorial. And they're all very simple things to do. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to instantiate, we're going to add in a piece of text here that says, so while the mouse is over the house, level 1 will appear. When I move the mouse off the house, it will disappear. So let's do that. So we need to know the name of this. This is called H1 text. So we're going to send a message to that. So we're going to say, because we could just instantiate it here, but the text would be inside the house, so we don't want to do that. So we're going to send a message, and the message is going to go to H1 text. That's the name of this empty. H1 text. So send the message to H1 text, and the message should be, level 1. And when do we want to do that? We want to do that when the mouse is over the house. So I need to actually add in a second AND brick here. So I'm going to select from there to there. So this is being used twice. It's saying when mouse over on its own is active, send a message, and when both of them are true or both are active, change scene. Okay, and then we'll come back to our negative in a minute. We'll just get a positive to work first. So over here, we're going to say when I receive the message, level 1, we're going to add an object. So we're going to go to the edit object actuator, and we're going to add L1, which is our text. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So let's go P. The mouse is visible. I put the mouse over here, and I've got L1 coming in, but it's putting it that way. Okay, so let's take this empty, and rotate it on Z 90 degrees. So let's go or Z 90, and now see what we get. So P, mouse over, and much better. Okay, so level 1, not perfect, it's kind of overlapping the house a bit, but we can live with that. Okay, so we've got P, mouse over, and then I can click on it and change level. And what we want now is the negative of that. So we go back to the house. So we're going to add in another mouse input, and this mouse input is going to be mouse over, but we're going to invert it. So this is going to only send so it's going to send a message when we're not over, and that message isn't going to go to this empty. It's going to go to, if I go to level 2 here, it's going to go to this object here, which is called L1. Okay, so we're going to send a message to L1, and that message is going to be, we'll say end. We want it to end. Okay, and then we're going to go to, oops, level 2 here, or layer 2. I'm going to say when we receive the message end, edit object, end object. So it's going to delete itself. So when it receives the message end object. So now let's go P. So my mouse is over here, not doing anything terribly interesting. I put it over the house, and I have instantiated my text, and I move it away from the house, and I have ended. I put it back over, I come back in, and I'm ready to click. I'm away, I'm in, I'm away. So, and I click on this, and I change level. So you probably don't need me to repeat this entirely, so that it's in, the logic for the other empty, the other house, the other piece of text is exactly the same. So all we really need to do now is make this look pretty. Maybe add in a title for the game, maybe the name of the designer, because this is going to be a project. It looks quite ugly how it's lit, etc. So there's a whole bunch of stuff we can do, but most of it's aesthetics. So what we're interested in here is the functionality of having the mouse visible during a menu, being able to put the mouse over something and having something appear, and then having mouse over and left mouse input change scene. So that could be any button that we were making there. Okay, so that's enough for this tutorial, and this is what we'll be working on in class.